And the topic? He has something called VOOM.
Thank you, Keith. Toastmasters and guests, please welcome Gary Hoffner, whose speech entitled He Has Something Called VOOM. He has something called VOOM. Gary Hoffner.
I quote from Wikipedia. The modern icebreaker typically has shielded propellers both at the bow and at the stern, as well as side thrusters, pumps to move water ballast from side to side, and holes on the hull below the waterline to eject air bubbles. All designed to allow an icebreaker stuck amidst thick ice to break free. I've asked myself why the manual for a first speech has asked me to talk about what we'd all agree is a fairly impressive and phenomenal vessel. Surely you'd prefer to hear me talk a little about myself and my life's experiences. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Gary. I'm 42 years old and an ever-learning father of 3. Like most fathers, I would say that my 3 kids are my proudest achievements in life. Emily, Blake and Jade's births were experiences that I enjoyed, and I became far more adept at handling them as they kept appearing. In fact, I remember the birth of my second child very, very well. My darling wife Leanne was experiencing regular contractions. We'd run to the hospital and been told to get there quickly, but I just couldn't help myself. Here she was, at a 45-degree angle against the wall, writhing in pain, dying to get to the hospital. And as I said, I couldn't help myself. I uttered these fateful words to my wife. She was, as mentioned earlier, in deep pain against the wall. I came rushing. Got her attention. Darling, today is your day. It is all about you. But do these pants go with this shirt? Let me explain that the reaction I got, of course, was concise, frank, and, as you would assume, colourful. During subsequent arrivals, I heard, Gary, I think it's turned off your footy show and get me to hospital. That's the only way I remember that one of my children was born on a Thursday. And when the TV show ER was at its peak of popularity, whilst I was there amongst the medical equipment, waiting the arrival of my third child, I seriously believed that if another patient in that hospital went into either heart, renal or colon failure, I would be their best bet. Seriously, I watched that show very, very intently, and at that point, I honestly thought I could save them if needed. Obviously, the childbirth experience was not a holiday for us, but in subsequent years, our family, now a thriving combination of bright eyes, bright minds, and bright imaginations, did enjoy several holidays. By far the most memorable of these was when we went to Port Douglas. One experience in particular, while we were there, is one I would like to share with you all. Now, as former President Bill Clinton once told me, whatever you do, don't name drop. We were lucky enough to be on the recently retired John Farnham's luxury cruiser called Phantom. We were waited on by cooks, deckhands and an experienced skipper named Spike. Also aboard with us was none other than Aussie rock legend Jimmy Barnes. At one point, we went on a guided snorkelling expedition of the reef. The diving instructor, Jimmy, my friend Steve, and I were given a guided tour. We would surface and listen to the instructor explain what we were about to view below us. Below us you'll see coral, a stingray, a groper. It'll be fascinating. We would dive, and I would be oblivious to the wonders of the reef, only think to myself, there's Jimmy Barnes, there's Jimmy Barnes. I wonder if before we dive again I can somehow get him to sing K-San. Now, that driving instructor certainly had the type of job that I would like. In reality, I'm a sales rep. I sell steel. I used to sell cardboard boxes, but they weren't sexy enough for me. Hence, I chose to work in the ultra-sexy steel industry. A job I do enjoy and I do very well at. But what if I could do anything for a living? What would I do if I could do absolutely anything? Well, I've got an answer for you. I would without a doubt be the weatherman on the Today Show. Why, you may ask? Well, you get to travel around Australia, your day's work finishes at 9 o'clock, and you have the Weather Bureau doing all the work for you. No one ever never really blamed you, and you'd be the type of celebrity that is paid well, but who's not interesting enough to be the subject of paparazzi harassment. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that these snippets and musings into me and my life are far more interesting than the icebreakers I was boring you senseless with, as quoting from Wikipedia. From Labour Ward to Barrier Reef, I will continue to bumble my way through life, and in the words of my favourite author, the great Dr. Seuss, quoting from his epic tome, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, I think it is Seuss who best sums up my outlook on life and the perception that I hope others have about me. And it also ties in nicely, would you believe, with my earlier reference to the winter elements. As I said, the good doctor, Dr. Seuss, and I think he's got his doctorate in rhyming. Here he goes. A beautiful piece. As I said, Dr. Seuss. He has something called voom. Voom is hard to get. You never saw anything like it, I bet. Now, don't ask me what voom is. I never will know. But boy, let me tell you, it does clean up snow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, and good night.